So, even though we did race against the clock to try and finish 3 vehicles that needed repairs yesterday, we only finished 2 of them. We did not make it to the lowering springs. And, well, although it would be nice to have the boys with me, it's just going to be me. And you might be thinking, it's a little bit early. While it's still dark outside, well, for one, I don't know what the weather's going to be like, although I could check. That's fine. But the cicadas get pretty loud around 7 or 8 o'clock, and they get even louder throughout the day. Right now, the cicadas are quiet, so I'm going to try to get some work done. I'm going to bring you guys along with me. We're going to get these lowering springs installed. Can't really wait any longer. I really don't like how much wheel gap there is. As a matter of fact, let me just show you. How much wheel gap. Yeah, you can see how much gap there is. And I'm just tired of looking at it. It's gross. It's in the front, it's in the back. The only concern that I really have is that this is a Pursuit, not an RT. And so the lowering springs are supposed to lower the car about 2.1 inches front and rear. And the Pursuit sits higher than the RTs do quite a bit. So now I'm not entirely sure just how much lower it's going to go than 2.1 inches. But we're about to find out. All right. So, got both spring compressors. We got Daytona over there. I'm just going to do one corner at a time. Unfortunately, my breaker bar broke yesterday. That's fine. You're not really supposed to do this, so do not do as you see me do. But I'm going to use my torque wrench to loosen the nuts. Why wouldn't you do that? Well, you're something to do with the calibration of it or something like that. But I'm just going to turn foot-pounds all the way up and use it to break these loose. And then I'll just use the impact after. It's not strong enough to break them away. It's not a Milwaukee or anything like that. Now I'm assuming for this process the shock has to come out. Now we play the size game, or we could save ourselves some time and look this stuff up, but nah. So there's our sway bar link. There's the big bolt or nut at the bottom. I'm not sure if that's a captured nut, or I think I can see some welds on it, but that might just be, a little rust. I don't know. And then we got the 3 bolts up top we got to get off. All right. So the sway bar end link, 21 millimeter nut, and you put a 10 millimeter socket on the little end piece so that it doesn't rotate with the nut when you turn it. So, I actually remember wondering whether or not this was a captured nut, and I still haven't done any research, but I'm just going to go ahead and attempt to take off the other side before I snap off what may or may not be a captured nut on this side. So, that's what I'm going to do. As it turns out, I was right about that. It is a captured nut, so don't go sticking your 24 mil on and trying to break away that nut. You might shear it off. But the bolt end is an 18 millimeter, and well, we got that out. So now we got the bottom end is done. Now we're gonna go to the top end and see what we can do. This is the first time, so it's taking a little bit longer. When we go to the other side, it's gonna be a little bit quicker. We'll see about that. Oh, well, all right then. Don't go losing your nuts and washers. So it looks like the spring compressors are going to come into play a little bit sooner than I thought. Might have to compress the spring to actually get the damn shock out of it. So we're going to attempt that. If that doesn't work, unfortunately, it looks like a control arm or something might have to come out. And well, I'm just not going to do that, or at least not today. It'll just be a later project, but we'll worry about that if that's the case. So let's go get this done, see how this goes. So as it turns out, the upper control arm has to separate from the spindle, which isn't that bad. It's a single bolt. So in total, there's a total of 3 bolts that need to come off of this. It's a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be. Now that, I've gone through the process and kind of learned what needs to come off and what can stay on, this is probably just as easy as it's going to be in the rear, but yeah. So we'll get this done. We're going to get this nut off. We're going to see what size it is. So far we've taken off the 18 millimeter bolt that is at the bottom of the shock. We've taken off the 21 millimeter nut that is on the sway bar link. We've removed the sway bar link from the shock. Now we're going to figure out what size nut is on this upper ball joint, and we'll remove that. All right then. I want that to pull on the brake line, so I'm kind of holding the spindle with my knee here. We got our 18. So an 18 millimeter nut, an 18 millimeter bolt, and a 21 millimeter nut off of the sway bar link. Springs in. I just tried to take the jack, or I tried to drop the car down, and it's actually so low that Daytona got stuck under the car. So now I'm really curious to see. That's a lot more low than it was before. I mean, you could fit my entire fist inside the gap before. Now it's like a 2, maybe 1.5 finger gap from the center line of the wheel. Now it's time to move on to the rear and get the rear springs in, because that is still atrociously high. That's a full fist. But I believe the rear is easier than the front. Actually, you know what? Yeah, no, the rear might be easier. So let's get started on that. All right, so that's all 4 springs installed. Still got to torque down all my wheels. That was something. The hardest part of this whole thing was definitely the rear lower control arms. Closest to the differential on each side was the hardest part of this job, because I'm not sure if it's threaded all the way through or whatever the case may be, but it's really hard to get those bolts out for some reason, and it's really hard to get them back in. Unless you have 2 jacks and you line it up perfectly, you're going to be a while trying to get those out and put them back in when you're done. Overall though, pretty easy job. Love how it sits. I mean, wow. The front is really, really low. Really, really low. Gonna torque down all my wheels and then gather everything up, and gonna hit the road for, you know, test drive around the block. And I'll come back so I can shower, get my hands cleaned up, get my face cleaned up. Pretty easy install. I wish I had the boys here with me to finish the job, but that's all right. Had fun doing it by myself. Thanks. Okay, all the wheels are torqued. Cicadas are in full effect, so you might have heard them throughout the video. Fortunately, that's just the standard of audio quality that I have right now. But hope you guys enjoyed watching me struggle to put these springs on. It's pretty hot out here. I don't want to complain too much. I had fun. Guess we're not going anywhere. Battery died, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to charge that. And then I guess while it's charging, shower, and then we'll go see how it dries. There she is, fully settled. The install is done. I really enjoyed working on the car. I don't think I've ever said like and subscribe in any of my videos. I should probably start doing that. But as far as the ride quality goes, I don't like the way the springs feel on the road. You know, they don't swallow up all the bumps the way the Pursuit springs did. Certainly bottoms out if you hit a pothole fast enough, and there's plenty of potholes around here. But I like the way it looks, and you know, it's kind of the trade-off that I'm willing to take, or at least for now. So yeah, make sure you like the video.